Hey friends, it's me Felicia and today we're back for yet again a new video. So for today I wanted to share with you guys the festive mood that I'm in, and I actually did a couple of handmade Christmas decorations and I thought that I would show you how I did it. Maybe it will inspire you, all of that. I even have my Christmas tree ready and Rakota desperately trying to destroy it, because what would a cat do when there is a Christmas tree, of course, other than destroying it. And I'm actually really happy because those are like my first official projects that I've been doing with my silhouette machine, and you'll see. Let's just hop right into the video. First, I did this Christmas garland, which is 4 illustrations attached. I started off with a digital sketch that I then printed so that I can have a more clearer view of what I'm going to do. And then I started to refine each smaller illustrations individually. So we have a Christmas tree, a gingerbread man, a snowman, and of course Santa Claus. I really wanted to try my best and have a similar style for all of these, so they all kind of have a painterly feel to it. I then exported them as a PNG file each, so that I could send it to my silhouette machine. So once I have the silhouette software up, I kind of struggle as always, because I need to place them all so that they have roughly the same size. And then I need to add the registration marks, make sure that they're in the printed area, and to do that for all of the 4 illustrations. Once the file is ready, I can go and send it to my printer, and I try to get it printed on some thick paper. I use Bristol paper, and to do that for all of them. Before cutting them out, I wait quite some time so that the ink doesn't smudge, because I've had that issue a couple of times where I print directly my drawings and designs to then get it cut out on the silhouette machine. But it turns out that I didn't wait for the ink to dry and just the image gets ruined and smudged. I was also scared that the cutting out wouldn't work for one of the illustrations because I forgot to make the thickness of the registration mark thicker. But in the end, all turned out good, it managed. So now I had to prepare the silhouette machine by getting out all the stuff that was in the way, plugging it into my computer, turning it on, and preparing the illustrations by sticking them to the cutting mat. So once the machine is done doing its thing, I peel off the outside of the design, and I did have a couple of issues with like some thinner details, so I went in with an X-Acto knife to cut it out so that I wouldn't tear everything. And then the rest is basically the same thing, sticking the design, letting the machine cut it out, start taking out the outside of the design and doing some details with the X-Acto knife to then peel it off. I did have one recurring issue, which was that the cutting was a little bit misaligned, and usually on the right side I'd get like this white line because it would cut outside of what was printed. So I had to go back in and clean it up with an X-Acto knife, and even went in with some scissors at some point. And also, since my paper is fairly thick and weird because it's Bristol paper, it sometimes left like some fluff where it was cut, if that makes any sense. But now that I think of it, I think the issue was because I made the thickness of the registration mark too thick, which made the cutting machine not as exact as it could be. The next step of this project was to start preparing the garland itself. So I get out this nice string that I bought, which was actually in the Christmas gift decorating section, and I also get my hole punch. So then what I need to do is punch holes in the top center of each illustrations so that I will be able to pass the string inside. I kind of just winged it for this because I didn't really like mark any spot where I should put the holes, and honestly it turned out okay. Then I passed the string inside of each illustrations where I put the holes. I was trying to figure out for some solution so that the illustrations would move on the string, but I ended up just like letting them sit there and gravity do its thing. So I didn't try to like find a complicated system or anything. I just passed them one by one in the string. And then came the last step for this Christmas garland, which was to hang it up. So I took my trusty old stool, and initially I thought that I would really make it very loose so that each illustration was like hanging very loosely from the rope. But in the end I ended up changing it and making the rope very straight so that it would actually look much better. Because having it loose made it look very like lazy in some way. And because the weight wasn't distributed like evenly, since it was just one straight dip to where the paper was hanging on the rope. I did struggle to pin it to my wall since the wall was much thicker than I expected, but pushing it hard enough made the pin still manage to go on the wall, but just pushing the pin harder it made it go in, so it all turned out well. And yeah, that's how I made this Christmas garland. The second Christmas decoration project I had was this village cutout. So I had a couple of references that I found off of Pinterest, and I measured my window to see exactly how I could make it fit perfectly. So I made a Procreate file on which I drew on, which were the exact dimensions, and then I had to figure out how I could make this drawing fit into multiple A4 papers. I didn't really like use any shape tools because I wanted to have still a handmade feel to it. So I just printed the registration marks blank on a paper and used the drawing as a guide for my cutout so that it would simply be white paper cut out in the shape of what I drew. And the cutout actually took quite some time because there were a lot of small details for like the windows and the doors, etc. But the machine is doing all the hard work and not me, so I'm not complaining. But then I had to basically hand cut again all the small details out with my X-Acto knife, and that took a lot of time, like really. What you're seeing right now is like at 3000% speed. So yeah, it took quite some time. And so I had already guides of what the cutouts were going to be, but I did have to help a little bit for the paper to really manage to not tear while I was taking out the small details away. So I'd pass again with the X-Acto knife and then pull the piece of paper gently away. So then I repeat the same steps where I print a blank sheet of paper with the registration marks, cut it out, and then cut out with an X-Acto knife the smaller details. And you're going to see that this house has so many small windows, and I kind of regret having done so many because my wrist was hurting so much from cutting them out because there were so many. But it was a quite soothing exercise to do, and it was super tedious. But at least I got time to just jam to some music at night and do this mindless exercise. The last piece was very simple. It was just a tree and like a part of the house, so it was super quick to cut out though, because it had basically no details. Then we're approaching the end, and I had to tape the back so that the different pieces of paper would like be aligned. So I really tried my best so that it would be seamless. You can actually still kind of see it, but I find that it's not that bad and it's okay. And then I added some blue tacks, as much as possible actually, so that I could easily put it on my window. And I decided to use that instead of tape so that I could potentially be able to reuse it within the next following years without ripping out the paper when I take it away from the window. And then I just attached it to the window, and that's basically it for this video and this project. I'm super happy with how it all turned out, and I'm glad that I actually pushed myself to make my own things this year. So I hope that this inspired you guys. All that I had to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like it. If you like, you can also subscribe to my channel because I make more art content type of videos where I usually do more drawings and like illustration things, but sometimes I like getting crafty. And if you did something similar to mine, make sure to like DM it to me on Instagram or tag me. I'll be very happy to see that. And I forgot to add some important news, so here it is. Also, I just wanted to let you guys know this is the last video that I'm making before I'm taking my winter break. I was planning on making one more video, but then realized that it was just going to be like a video that's fairly forced, not very interesting, because I'd be making that video just for the sake of making a video, if that makes sense. But don't worry, I'll be coming back. I think in like mid-January, something like that, and I'll be having a couple of videos that are like more worked and that I've been wanting to do but take more time, so that's gonna be very exciting. And yeah, that's about all that I have to say. See you next time. Tschüss!